two blessings about which many people are deluded. As-sihhatu wal-faragh. Good health and spare time. The delusion with regards to spare time is the idea that there is in fact time to spare. Reality is that there is no time to spare, because we will be asked about every second of our lives. So if that is the case, then really there is no time to spare. If there's time in our lives where we'll not be asked, it was vacation time, it was spare time, then in that period of time we would be free to do whatever we wished. However, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had said, لا تزول قدم عبد يوم القيامة حتى يسأل عن أربع. The 2 feet of a slave of Allah will not move from their place on the day of resurrection until he or she is asked about 4 things. عن عمره فيما أفنى. First, on his life and how he spent it. وعن شبابه فيما أبلى. And on his youth and how he utilized it. And it goes on to speak about his wealth, from where he obtained it and how he spent it. What concerns us most is on his life, the period of his life, umrihi, and how he spent it, how he utilized it. So that's the whole of our existence. From the time we come into this world and we have control over our time till the time we leave this world. We will be asked about every minute, every second, every hour, every day, etc. So there really is no spare time, no free time. Allah tells us, فَإِذَا فَرَغْتَ فَانْصَبْ. If you have completed your worship, the act of worship which was required of you at that particular time, we just completed the fard of Salatul Zuhur. What is the next thing to do? Fansab means go on to your next act of ibadah. The sunnah, reading Quran, dhikrullah, whatever. We just transfer from one act to another. That's how our lives are supposed to be. And that's why Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, oftentimes he told us to seek refuge in Allah at the end of our prayers. We're told to seek refuge in Allah from the trials of living and dying. Fitnatul mahya wal mamat. The trials of living refer to utilizing that time according to how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran, قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Say, indeed, my sacrifices, my prayers, my living and my dying are for Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. So for the believer, all of his or her life is supposed to be dedicated to Allah. Meaning, there is no spare time. If all of the life is dedicated, there is no spare time. if we are supposed to shift from one act of worship to another, there is no spare time. All of our life is supposed to be transformed into worship. If we successfully make that transformation, then we will be fulfilling the commandment, فَإِذَا فَرَغْتَ فَانْصَبْ. But if we don't make that transformation, where we engage ourselves in acts wherein we don't remember Allah's Quranic command. And Al-Hasan al-Basri, he was known to say, whenever a new day comes, it says to humankind, I am a new day, and I am a witness to your deeds. And if I go, I will never come back. If I go, I will never come back. With each new day, that day becomes a witness to the deeds that we do in those days. And every minute which goes, every hour, we cannot bring it back again. It is gone. So either we make the best of that time, or we waste it. We kill it. We spend it on that which will not benefit us in this life or the next. In another statement, Al-Hasan al-Basri, and Al-Hasan al-Basri is among the tabi'in, who was known for his zuhud. Most of the various Sufi orders which developed a contrary program of worship parallel to the Sharia, which they called the Haqiqah. When they trace their practices back, they always or usually will trace it through Al-Hasan al-Basri. So if one, al-Basri meaning is from Basra, his name was Al-Hasan, one would think that he was a leading Sufi, but reality, when one goes to see who he was one of the leading scholars of mainstream Islam. He was not a Sufi. The practices that have developed in all of the various turuq or tariqas of Sufiya cannot be traced to him. He was not known to teach these things. But people will put his name there in order to give validity to their practice. Like Christians will put the name Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John on the Gospels to give validity to these Gospels. Though Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John had nothing to do with these Gospels at all. And they're not really even sure who was Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. In the case of Hasan Basri, we know who he is. But point is, they will use his name. He said, O son of Adam, you are only days. You, in the totality of your existence, is only a group of days. If one day passes, a part of you is gone. That is our reality. We are only a group of days. When one goes, we have lost something of ourselves. We can't bring it back, as we said. So it means then that we cannot afford to allow any day to go by without having maximized our benefit from those days.